It's 4, so I turned it on. You're all live now. It's on. I'm good.
Welcome to the Pioneer Memorial Museum, the home of the International Society Daughters of Utah Pioneers. We are so excited to have you here with us today for this event. Thank you so much for coming. We are so proud of this building and grateful for our pioneer heritage. And in 15 days, we will be celebrating the 120th anniversary of Daughters of Utah Pioneers. And on that day, April 11th, 1901, Annie Taylor Hyde welcomed her friends to join the organization to be known as Daughters of Utah Pioneers. And she told them at that time that it was her dearest wish that her children and her children's children throughout all time would remember the pioneers, and that this organization would help them to do that. And here we are. We're the children's children throughout all time, remembering our pioneers. And I love this room that we're sitting in right now. We have our beautiful stained glass window over here in honor of our women pioneers. And then one of our most prized possessions right here on the wall, that is Brigham Young. That portrait was painted of him in Nauvoo, and then it was first hung in the Nauvoo temple, so that everyone who came in, that was a focal point. And he has his hand on a book, and it was symbolizing his wish that everyone would do what they were supposed to do and follow the law of the Lord. And as you can see down the middle of that painting, there's a crease, and then across there's also a crease, because it was so large it had to be folded in half and in half again, and then rolled up and brought across the plains and given to us to hang in our museum here. So that is from Nauvoo, painted by Selah von Sickle, a painter who painted a lot of the portraits, also the one that's next to it on the wall. We have such beautiful things here that help us to remember the pioneers. And we are so excited that the Days of 47 will be celebrated this year in their honor of coming across the plains. And next year is the Demi-Semi-Septennial, which means 175th anniversary of 1847. So that'll roll right off your tongue. Demi-Semi-Septennial. You'll never forget it. Again, thank you so much for coming. We'll be having an opening prayer by Carly Sorensen, and then our program will be turned over to the historian of our organization, who also serves as the second vice president and the chairperson of our Days of 47 event, the royalty pageant, and even more important to me, someone that I am so grateful to call a friend, Constance Huntsman. Carly.
Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful as we gather together to celebrate the pioneers in the Days of 47. We're grateful for the legacy and the heritage that they've left us, and that we have the chance to follow in their footsteps. We are so excited for this new royalty and for their chance to serve and to represent not only Days of 47, but the Daughters of Utah Pioneers. We are grateful, Father, and we are so blessed, and we ask that Thy Spirit may be with us today, that we can all feel of those ancestors and of that heritage that we carry. We love Thee, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Carly, and thank you, Ellen, and thank you to those of you that are here. Wow, it's just so different. If you have attended before and have been part of the process this year, I haven't called this a pageant. I called it a scholarship competition, because unfortunately the pageantry was taken out of it, the royalty ball. and the girls being on stage in their gowns, and our seminars, and all of the wonderful things that have happened in the past. Because of the COVID, we couldn't do. But could we choose a new royalty? Yes, we could do that. So this is the culmination of that. And if you have been to any of the other competitions, they would say to you, a lot of the judging has already been done. And that was true. And as of right now, all of the judging has been done. The first part of the judging was done with a video. The girls send a video in, and I send a link to our judges, and they scored it. And then I took a picture of their score sheets and sent it to our auditors. So again, wow, what a change. I want to take you back. 1897, long time ago. We had our first queen. Her name was Emma Lunt, and she was the queen of the Utah Pioneer Jubilee. She had 20 attendants, first and second attendants. Imagine 20, and she had a really, really long reign, 5 days. That's as long as she lasted. And the newspaper said that she was one of Zion's most popular young ladies, and she was called Miss Utah. Now remember that she was one of the most popular ladies. She had an elaborate gown, and the royalty didn't fill out an application like our girls did and send it in electronically like our girls did. Instead, there was a committee of 22 prominent citizens, and they decided that Emma was the girl that was going to be Miss Utah, and she was going to ride around for those 5 days. And all she had to do, and I want you to remember this too, she had to bow. So Anastasia and Emily and Carly, did you ladies ever have to bow? I don't think so either, but she had to bow. She had to do one more thing, and we still expect this. She had to look pretty. So that's all she had to do. The first Pioneer Parade, even farther back, because Emma was not on the scene until 1897, but they actually had the first parade. Giving you a little history lesson here, in 1849, pioneers had been here 2 years, just 2 years, and they had a parade. It was called Covered Wagon Days. And then in 1831, it was changed, and they then called it Pioneer Days. And the queen at that time was called Miss Pioneer, and it was Margaret Young, and she was a direct descendant of Brigham Young. But so were all 200 of the other, 200 of the other contestants. Can you just imagine, judges, can you just imagine 200 that you were judging? So, marching forward from 1931, 1943, July 5th. Oh gosh, I'm one of those leaky eye people. Our organization, Daughters of Utah Pioneers, and their cohorts, so to speak, the Sons of Utah Pioneers, got together, and they wanted this tradition to continue. They signed an agreement to officially sponsor the Pioneer Day Parade and to celebrate and to not forget that pioneer heritage. And a committee was created, and it's still in existence. It's called the Days of 47 Committee, and Lane Summerhays is the president. It's a nonprofit corporation, and the activities that happen in July, there are hundreds. Lane, do you know what our volunteer list looks like. I have no idea how many volunteers we have. Thousands, more than hundreds, thousands. And we pay them nothing. They're volunteers. So Days of 47, when you hear Days of 47, Days of 47, it goes back to 1943 because we wanted this to continue. And at that time, it was renamed the Days of 47. And the queen at that time was Pat Pixon. Now, I don't expect you to remember that, but the International Society, Daughters of Utah Pioneers, has produced the royalty pageant since that time. We've done it in a lot of different places. We had it at the state capitol, we had it at the fairgrounds, we had it at the little theater, at the conference center, and today, for the first time, we crown the royalty for 2021 here in this building. This building has a history too. I could talk history. I am the historian. After all, I could really talk about history, couldn't I? 1950, this building was opened, and it was built by funds that daughters raised because they wanted their own building for the most part. So I want you to remember back to the criteria for Emma. She had to do two things. She had to look pretty, and she had to, Carly, she had to bow. Okay, so now, still looking pretty, yes, but are we concerned with that? Were our judges concerned with that yesterday? Absolutely not. They were looking for community service, education, knowledge, charity. What are they doing out in the communities? The values that those contestants had, and their pioneer heritage. We take flack about this often because our contestants have to be a direct descendant of a Utah pioneer, someone who came here between 1847 and 1869. Young women are chosen to be our royalty. They exemplify high standards of our pioneers in the past and our pioneers now in the present. They represent the state of Utah, they represent Daughters of Utah Pioneers, and they represent Days of 47 Incorporated. And they do it until their successors are crowned. We have had 3 times when we haven't had a royalty. During the Depression, and which in 42 and 43 and last year. And so these 3 girls, when they signed their agreement to become our royalty, they are the only ones who have served for 2 years. So you're history making, ladies. I'd like to thank a lot of people. First of all, if I could have our current royalty, because girls, you still are. Could I have the 3 of you stand and turn around so people can see you, please? Anastasia Shepard is our queen. Carly Sorensen, first attendant. Emily Clark, second attendant. So thank you, ladies, for everything that you have done. And the contestants, even though we only have 3 of them here, we are, again, for the first time, Facebook Live. Who would have thought? So there are a lot of people that are watching what's going on. And YouTube Live, wow. So contestants, those of you that are tuning in, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you pioneered this year something new that hadn't been done before. Judges, Deanne, if you and Kathy and Marie, would you stand please so people can see who you are? And again, thank you. And Marie, I won't tell you what year, and Kathy, I won't tell you what year either, but they're former royalty. So, thank you.
Our auditors are not here, but I think at least one of them is watching us. And thank you, Brent and David, for crunching our numbers. Last night when the judging was over, I took a picture of the score sheets with my camera and I sent them to our auditors, and they're the ones who tallied up the numbers. Our advisors for this year, Rachel, if you and Carly would stand, please. Carly is still going to be involved, and Carly, before our museum was shut down, she came in as a docent and she volunteered here, so thank you. So what they're going to do is they're going to be best buds with our new royalty, and they're going to tag along. They have a really, really hard job. They have to go to the rodeo, and they have to go to the parade, and they have to do all of the fun things, because we don't send the girls out by themselves. And I'd like to thank our photographer, Stephen Leach. Appreciate that. Jeannie Bowerbank, would you mind standing, please? Jeannie, girls, remember that gift bag that you got last night that was so beautiful? She's the one that put those together, and our presentation bouquets up here today, she did that also. So Jeannie, thank you for doing that. Billy? Billy's our accountant, not only for our organization, and she even takes tax clients, I hear. But again, girls, your Venmo payments, a couple of years ago, we were asking when applications were sent in, they came in as a hard copy. They had to be delivered here by 4 o'clock on the day of the deadline. Nothing came in electronically until a few years ago. And the money part of it, it had to be a check or a cashier's check. And it's like, girls nowadays, they don't do that. So it's like, could we do Venmo? And it's like, yeah, I had no idea what Venmo was. I still don't know what Venmo is. I don't use it, but I do know that our contestants know what it is. So Billy, thank you. Julie is back in the corner, and Julie is the one that is enabling us to do our Facebook. And thank you, Julie, for doing that. Wesley Huntsman, back way, way back in the corner. He's my anything I need person and my moral support. This is not something that happens just in a couple of days. It takes all year long. In fact, I started on next year. You have to. I have a reservation for next year. And so thank you, Wesley. Marisha, where are you? Back in the corner too. I don't know why she's hiding back there. She is the timer, and I'll tell you, she keeps those judges right on a schedule. We have to. And she's also my consultant and also my favorite daughter. My only daughter, but my favorite daughter. So it's like, oh, Mom. And Lane, I'd like to thank you. Lane, as I mentioned, is the president of Days of 47 Incorporated. And he's going to actually open up the envelopes, and he's going to announce who our new royalty is. So Lane, if we could do our queen first, and then our first attendant and our second attendant. And after he announces them, our current royalty are going to come up. They're going to crown their new successor and put her sash and give her flowers. Exciting. Take a minute and breathe. Thank you for doing that.
Well, we are so excited to have a royalty, and we are even more excited to have a royalty who will have things to do. So we have been meeting as a Days of 47 committee through this last year, wondering whether or not we would be able to do anything this coming summer. And it's been kind of doubtful, but we know now that vaccines are getting out, and by the end of May, everyone over 16 who wants a vaccine will have had one. I think that's pretty remarkable for our state. As we were looking at getting to the point where we could open this up, and it really happened this last week, we had asked the area presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints how the church felt about us moving forward, and in turn, they went to our government officials. And they called Governor Cox and said, you know, should we plan on it? Should we think about it? What should we do? And he was adamant. He was adamant that our community needed these events. And so he said, by all means, we are moving forward. And so I think of those first attendants, 5 days. Now let's think about these current royalty. They have been in place so long that Anastasia has had time to fall in love, get married, and is having a baby. Now that is a long time, but we appreciate them. I was at an event yesterday at This Is a Place Heritage Park. They were dedicating a new visitor center, and it's beautiful. You need to get up there and see that, and a memorial to children who died crossing the plains that we finished 2 years ago. But the governor was there, and he had some remarks he made, and his family are pioneer families, and they exemplify everything that all of your families have exemplified. He talked about one of his ancestors. They arrived here in the valley, and it wasn't long until they were sent to Sanpete County. And Sanpete County was not a really pleasant place to go. But they went to Sanpete County, and one of the very first things that all these people had to do was they had to get water to their crops. Water was everything. And so it was early in the spring, and they had to dig a ditch. Some length of time, it was a long ditch. But part of this ditch was kind of bedrock, and they couldn't get through it. And so they brought every man and child that could wield an axe or a pitchfork or anything. They had big rods, they had everything you can think of to try to break through this rock. So all these men and boys were together, and they started working on this project, and they were not making any headway at all. And a young man wrote this story. He said, we were all in there sweating, we were getting blisters, and this Cox guy, Governor Cox's ancestor, was standing off to the side watching us, and he was making us all mad. And then he left. We wanted to swear, but we couldn't because the bishop was there. He said, so they worked all that day, and they made virtually no headway whatsoever. So next morning, bright and early, they all show up to start doing this again. And here comes Cox. He's got 8 oxen all lined up. He's got a big log that spreads sidewards, and he's got handles coming out of that log for men to hold on to. And through the bottom of the log, he has driven metal spikes that go down pretty deep. And so he lined this log up at the top of this rock formation. He had a bunch of men get on the log and hold on to these handles. And with his oxen, he drug through all of that problem and had it done in a matter of hours. And so the pioneer ingenuity is amazing. And we all have it in our blood. And we should be grateful for those pioneers who gave everything, really, and sacrificed so that we have what we have here. We've been through an awful year. You think about not just a pandemic, but you think about earthquakes and fires and freezing in Texas and hurricanes and everything that we've been through. As I've come through that and out of it, the overriding feeling that I have is gratitude. You think about the world and what they've been through this year. Well, I had groceries. I had a home to live in. I had gas to drive a car. My life was minimally disrupted. I had some friends who died. I had one of our senior missionary companions. He was the first one that died in Utah. And there was tragedy, but think how blessed we are and how grateful we should be. And as we move forward now and we're able to do this, it's a sense of normalcy. I haven't had a suit on in months. It's a sense of normalcy, and so I am so grateful. I'm grateful for each of you and for your willingness to be a part of this, and I hope you love it. Now, I'm going to do this in reverse order that Constance said, because if you do the Queen, it takes all the suspense out of it, isn't it? So I'm going to do the second attendant first. You going to throw me out, Constance? She's giving me the stink eye. Okay, so Our second attendant, I am pleased to announce that the Days of 47, the 2021 Days of 47 Royalties second attendance is Ariana Hayner. She is the daughter of Glenn and Michelle Hayner of Riverdale. Before you do that, I don't know anything about this woman, and some of the rest of you may not either. Would you tell us something about yourself?
Well, my name is Ariana Hayner. I grew up in a family with 8 sisters, and Anastasia Hayner is one of them. And currently I'm going to school at Utah State, studying horticulture and things that grow. All kinds of things. I'm 23, so I have spent time up at the Capitol studying as an intern with the Utah Eagle Forum, and I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I went to the Maine, New Hampshire mission, the New England area. It covered 3 or 4 states up there, but I was happy to serve, and I'm happy to serve now as well, representing my pioneer heritage.
So nepotism is okay in crowning royalty. I'm just guessing that this sister is not going to have time to fall in love, get married, and have a baby. I am pleased to announce that our first attendance is Adeline Eisenark. And help me, I messed that up, so come on up here.
Adeline Eisenach. It's a hard one. It's German. This is such a humbling experience to be here today. It really has been my dream since I first heard about the Daughters of Utah Pioneers to be here. So to be in your presence, this is absolutely amazing. But to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm from southern Utah, Cedar City area. My family currently is living in Paragouna, Utah. Most people haven't heard of it. Tiny, tiny town. I am attending a private college called Mount Liberty and studying political science and history, and I absolutely love both those things. But a lot has been on my heart lately, and today before I came here, I was thinking of Eliza R. Snow because I read a story from her life a couple of weeks ago. She's not one of my ancestors, but I really look up to her. And this particular story talked about when she was with a group of saints. They were coming west, and it was in the middle of the winter, and they stumbled upon this small little cabin. And there wasn't a lot of room for the company that she was with. She said that there was no firewood, there was no food, so a lot of the brethren in the group went out to gather supplies. But she said that all the saints that night had to stand in the cabin to stay warm, and they weren't able to lay down to sleep. But she said that they danced around the campfire, and she said, I just saw so much joy in the saints' eyes. And then she went on to say, I learned that night that none but saints can be happy under every circumstance. And I think that for me, that hit so hard because this past year with the pandemic has been really hard, but I think that those here today possess the pioneer spirit, and they know that they can still continue to be happy in these trying times. So grateful for this opportunity, and I can't wait to serve all of you. Thank you.
This won't be much of a surprise, will it? And our queen is Sophia Lowry.
Hi, my name is Sophia Lowry. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. A little bit about myself. I'm from the Salt Lake Valley, so not too far of a commute like these lovely ladies. I am studying business at the University of Utah, which I've loved so far. I am the oldest of 4 kids. I have 2 younger sisters and 1 younger brother. Hopefully they're watching this, but we'll see. I'll ask them when I get home. I have loved my experience so far in college. I've had the opportunity to serve on Institute Council as well as in the student government for the University of Utah, and I'm very excited for this opportunity to serve all of you and to have these wonderful experiences and make new friends. So thank you.
I'd like to recognize Ellen and Constance one more time for all the work that they do to make this work. So let's give them a big hand.
Thank you, Lane, for doing that. That's another first, because usually our MC does it, and I really debated, should we do the second attendant first, or should we do the queen first? And of course, I knew what the order was, and we will have more photos. By the way, I want to thank all of you for coming, and parents, I want to thank you for raising these incredible women. They're pretty. They're really pretty, but they're not just that. They have all of those other qualities. So we're going to have a great summer. You're going to have a great year. And I think you can also see that the judges had an incredibly hard task. There was a half of a point between our first and our second attendant. A half of a point. Scores were so close. So this brings to a conclusion the crowning for the 2021 royalty. Parents, if you would please stay, and the new 2021 royalty, we will take pictures. If there's judges, if you want to stay and have your pictures taken with the current royalty, we can do that. And those of you that would like to go wander around the museum a little bit and or go ahead and go home, you're welcome to do that too. Thanks for coming.
I can't flip it.